Hello everyone. So as this year ends and as we step into 2026, here I am on behalf of Shankar IAS Academy to introduce to you a new program that we are going to start at Shankar IAS Academy for the purpose of assisting your prelims preparation for the next 3 months. The name of the program is SkillUp and it's primarily focused on your prelims preparation. The program starts on 5th of January. And before I get into the features of this course, let me ask a few questions to you to make you think about your method of prelims preparation. How many of you have given a thought to the importance of tackling the randomness on the day of examination? You have done all your best, you have completed all your standard textbooks, you have done a minimum number of question solving. But still when you go to the examination hall, you feel that the paper is very random. And it's all about how you face randomness in that very moment of the exam that decides whether you clear prelims or not. Trust me, even those who have been constantly clearing prelims every year, even they wouldn't be knowing precise answers for not more than 50 questions. But they still carry forward and they make sure that they attempt 85 to 90 questions on the day of prelims. So how is that made possible? Is there something beyond knowledge and awareness which goes into getting those questions getting attempted? Well, that's the first question for you to think about. And the second question is, have you ever seen the trend of prelims where the cutoff keeps increasing? In 2023, we find a drastically different prelims paper compared to the previous years. So 23, 24, 25, I would say that the prelims has equalized to a certain extent. I would say that the prelims has got standardized to a certain extent. But the cutoff seems to be going higher and higher every single year. In 2023, the prelims cutoff for general category was around 74. Next year, 24, it came more than 80. And I'm very sure in 2025 prelims, it has crossed 90. So if with all things being the same, with all the questions and the difficulty level of question paper remaining the same, if the cutoff has to keep on increasing year after year, it simply shows that a certain number of aspirants are able to evolve, they're able to adapt, they're able to be flexible enough to improvise their strategies to get a winning margin, right? So, is it simply because they have got some magical books and textbooks to refer in the 1 year where they have mastered more and more facts? No, not really the case. It goes beyond the textbook facts. It goes a lot into exam hall confidence. There's a lot of instinctive based approach. There's a lot of instinct based question solving that actually decides how these toppers go cross beyond 85 to 90 marks. There are around 10 to 12 different skills which actually plays an important role in crossing beyond the 50 question threshold. So can you learn that if I were to teach you that in a single video? Maybe yes. Some of you can even grasp it very fast. Some of you can even grasp it and start practicing it on a daily basis. But for others who may not be able to grasp it, if I were to talk about those skills in a single video, that's why we have planned a series of sessions. We have a total of 50 sessions starting from January 5th. And in each of these sessions, these skills will be put to test. In each of these sessions, the same randomness that you will face on the day of your prelims will be simulated. So just think about it. Every day in all of these 50 sessions, you come, you practice questions, not more than 20 questions in every session. So every session is going to have 20 questions where you don't have any test schedule. This is something to bring in that randomness. We're not going to ask you to study polity and come, geography and come and then face questions. No. All 20 questions are going to be mixed from all the subjects, including CSAT. Because the very basic premises of prelims preparation is equal importance for all subjects, equal importance to CSAT as well. And unless you score extremely high scores in GS as well as a very comfortable winning margin, at least 80 plus in CSAT, you will not have that peace of mind after your prelims. It's to make sure that you have GS as well as CSAT focused on every single day. That's why we have these series of sessions planned. In each of these sessions, we are going to throw around 20 questions from both GS and CSAT to you. So every session starts with a 20 question test being taken. And once the tests are taken, a discussion follows. And it is in the discussion where you learn how would you have solved each of these 20 questions without factual awareness? If you were to be deficient in facts, still how could you have solved those questions right? Can there be an alternative way of getting those questions right? It's those perspectives which we'll be delivering to you in the form of the discussion that follows the 20 questions. So the discussion doesn't simply mean that we are going to read out the answers for the 20 questions. No, it's going to be a brain training. It's going to train your mind into thinking into certain directions. And imagine with 50 sessions regularly, when you're being handheld and when you're guided in a supervised manner as to how to solve these questions, I would say that the skills would get reinforced inside you. Some toppers are able to do that on their own, whereas many others may need an assistance, may need hand-holding to walk you through what the process actually is. So it is with that goal we have these sessions in mind, and we have 50 sessions starting from Jan 5th, which is the coming Monday onwards. So that's when the batch 1 will be starting, and the second batch will be starting on January 19th, and subsequent batches will be announced later and will be notified on a later date. So the very vision behind this entire SkillUp Prelims program is to infuse randomness and spontaneity, right? Because many years we have come across various students who we see performing very well in individual tests. They perform really well in economic standalone test, in a polity standalone test. They prepare and they perform, get even 90, 100 marks in their mock tests. But on the day of the exam, they tend to be falling behind even the cutoff itself. Even if the cutoff is 85 or 90, they seem to actually, something goes haywire on the day of the examination. So that's why we have a plan to keep tracking your performance, to keep tracking your progress across these 50 sessions, where you get a real UPSC prelims feel. And we don't want to tire you every day with 100 questions. So that's why a mini test, it's just 20 questions, including CSET. And how are these questions designed? How are these questions planned? Well, we have sat through the last 3 years prelims questions, exactly fitting to the same nature of the last 3 years prelims trends, including the CSAT. It is to closely align ourselves with UPSC. A lot of thought has gone into designing these 20 questions for every session, because each question should not only teach you a knowledge, it should also teach you some kind of a skill that could have also helped you get this question right. So imagine all the skills are in place, and we'll be giving you, each one of you, a tracking sheet, something like this. It is in this tracking sheet where after every test, you'll be making an entry. So you have all the different subjects here. You have the nature of questions, whether it's a concept-based question, whether it's a fact-based question, it's a concept-based question of geography, or a fact-based question. So you'll have to mark your correct responses here. So once you see it at the end of every test, so this is for test 1, you make entries, test 2, you make subsequent entries, test 3, you make subsequent entries. So for 50 sessions, we'll give you a progress tracking sheet like this, so that at the end of every test, now when you mark it, you start getting a picture as to where your strength lies. You start getting a knowledge, as an idea about whether it's the concepts that you're weak at, or is it the facts that you're weak at. Right? So this is one such tracking sheet that you will be filling post every session. And most important fact here is the second tracking sheet that you will be filling, wherever, let's say 20 questions you attempt and 10 questions you go wrong. So in those 10 questions, when we do our discussion, you'll be able to understand whether you lack logically thinking about the options. Is that the skill that you lack? If you lack it, just make an entry over there. Or if it's something about a long, distantly studied fact, or something that you would have encountered in your classes in the beginning of your course, but since then there was never an option to revise it again. So as a result of which your memory has failed you when you had attempted the test. If that's the case, make an entry in memory part. Or a very familiar area like Indus Valley civilization, but you just did not know the depths of the issue. If it's a problem of depth, you will make an entry over here. So it is the sheet which, after you take some 5 to 10 tests, now when you look at it, you can really diagnose where your problems are. So now you have to link the sheet with the questions. Every question is framed in such a way that it has a linkage with this, so that when you're not able to attempt a question right, you should know exactly what is that skill set that you're missing. So all the questions are very carefully designed so as to fit into this framework. And imagine, even after a 4 or 5 tests, if you know that depth is your problem, slowly you will start improvising on your depth part. And let's see, after the 5th test, if let's say your depth has increased, you see positive performance here. That's the way you can actually see whether really improvement has happened in the next 3 months or not. This is not a time where you can afford to simply randomly read books without keeping an eye on whether these crucial skill sets are strengthened parallel or not. You cannot simply read books and revise them again and again without keeping keeping in mind about the importance of these skill building. And it is to help you with that, we have this program. So let me walk you through how a daily session looks like. We have sessions on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, 4 days in a week. The session timing is from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. So when you come to the session at 2:30, we have a test of 20 questions. So the first half an hour is spent only solving the questions, followed by a discussion. The discussion, as I told you, is simply not answer reading, but rather it's more about pointing out where your issues lie. So when we help you, when we discuss with you, you get to actually understand what skill set you are lacking, and that can be marked in the tracking sheet, right? So this is all that we are going to do. There is no timetable, there is no schedule. You just have to come, show up on the day of the test for 50 sessions. And while you show up, you will be made sure that you learn the 1,000 most important topics. Because we have 50 sessions and 20 questions. So 50 into 20 is a total of 1,000 questions. We'll try to cover as much of latest current affairs which has a significance in the upcoming prelims. I'm sure we have an ability to also anticipate questions beforehand. So we, at the best, we aim to increase your score at least by 10 to 20 mark margin at the end of this program. It's only when that happens we consider this program as a success. And we believe in our ability to deliver questions which closely resemble UPSC standards, which closely aligns with the latest current affairs of prominent developments. And those questions which match up to UPSC standard in testing whether beyond awareness do you have certain skills or not. So that's what we would ensure. So who should be joining and who should not be joining in this program? I'm sure many aspirants, when you watch this, if you're wondering as to whether this program applies to you, let me remind you that if in the past, if in the previous prelims, your prelim score has been less than 40 or 50 marks, I would say this program may not be useful for you. Because less than 40 marks, it means that you have only got 20 to 25 questions right, which means that you have a long way to go even in knowledge building in the first place. It's only after a basic knowledge is built, you can add skills over that. But if aspirants are failing to clear prelims less than 20 marks, if always your score is within a 20 mark bandwidth less than the cutoff. Let's say if the cutoff is 75, your score is within 55 to 75. If the cutoff is 90, your score is 70 to 90. If you fall within this range, I'm very optimistic that at the end of this program, you could have strengthened yourself beyond your facts, which can definitely help you at least another 10 to 20 marks on the day of your prelims. All right. So this is all about how we plan to go ahead with the program. And if you have any doubts and you would like to get your queries clarified, so this is my WhatsApp number. You can either WhatsApp me or Telegram me and have your queries addressed. And if you would want to enroll in the program, starting from January 5th onwards, here is the contact number. You can call the academy and they'll respond to you and you can enroll, and we'll soon meet you on Jan 5th, 2026. So wish you all a happy new year and wish you all success in the next prelims.